April showers bring May flowers. Spring is awoken at Carpenter Park. We're back here a month later from our previous tour, and the beginning of the spring wildflower season has just started. Around the stone shelter, we're surrounded by spring beauty, one of the first wildflowers that comes up. It has little white petals, little pink stripes on them. If looked at under black light, they fluoresce, directing insects, their pollinators, right into the stamens and pollen where they need to go. There's a whole bunch of other wildflowers out here, many species of violets. We've got blue woodland violet, one of the yellow violet species here. Carpets of trout lilies are starting to emerge. It's a wonderful time of the year.
So here we have garlic mustard. It is an invasive species in Illinois. Anytime we see it in a nature preserve, we generally like to pull it up by its roots and hang it from a tree so the roots will dry out and it doesn't reattach itself and grow. It is edible, tastes like garlic. You can make a great salad out of it, and we definitely encourage people to eat it. All right, this is Trillium. It has 3 leaves, and it is one of the first spring flowers to come up and bloom. This particular one has a red bloom, and you can kind of see it starting to open up and do its thing. Okay, this plant we're looking at is Dutchman breeches. It looks like tiny little upside down pantaloons.
So we saw Spicebush a month ago, and it was just a shrub stick sticking up with little white dots on its bark. But we can see now it's in full flower and just starting to leaf.
Look how concentrated it is with all the trout lilies. They're just a little like community, aren't they?
They're carpet forming.
Is that what it's
If
called?
this was burnt, there would be 10 times as many.
Okay.
And it's just incredible. It's a solid stand after a fire in a woodland of trout lily. Tall bedstraw, the world leaf, Mother Nature's Velcro bedstraw. And so we've got a type of sedge. Sedges have edges. We can see the triangular formation in the stem. There are many sedges here at Carpenter Park, but this is just one of the early sedges, Carex mullenbrachii, or one of these other woodland sedges. Different species of sedge. And then that more broadleafed one. It'll be May before they send out their seeds and flowers, before we'd be able to identify it to species. The path is just lined with these sedges. Bumblebee.
Okay, so the first pollinators that come out, are they mostly bumbles?
Flies, bumblebees, mason bees.
Okay.
Bumblebees and mason bees being native bees of Illinois, unlike the introduced honeybee. If the plant smells good, it's attracting a bee. If the plant smells bad, it's attracting a fly. Bradford pear smells like fish, attracts pollinated by flies. Pawpaw smells like rotting meat, pollinated by flies. After a fire occurring in Carpenter Park in the mid-70s, there were over 300 species of vascular plants documented here. After reintroducing fire back in the 90s, when I was doing my work, I could only document about 200 plants. So we had lost over 100 species of plants in that time, mostly due to the encroachment of small trees in the open woodlands filling in with smaller trees. Lack of fire is the best tool for maintaining sources of these open woodland slash savanna areas. And to have that many floristic plants here, it's quite evident that this was open woods for quite a long time. So today, 20 years after my work, we're truly looking at the relics of the survivors that have hung on. Here we have pawpaw, one of the fruiting trees, historically from the floodplain, but invading the uplands. It'll have a red flower when it opens. Does not smell pleasant because it's pollinated by flies.
The next flower we're looking at is a cut leaf toothwort.
This is sweet Sicily. If bruised, has a smell or fragrance of anise, black licorice. It's prevalent in the woods. We'll have a small white flower here in another week or two. Black cherry blooming. And as we stated, all trees will bloom before they leaf. White oaks are blooming. Sassafras is in flower also right now. There's true Solomon seal and then two species of false Solomon seal out here at Carpenter Park. And then there's also bellflower. So it's one of the four. We have to let it get a little bit bigger before we can identify it. These are wild leeks. An onion family. I don't see them that often because people dig them and for eating.
I heard it takes 7 years for them to grow the bulb and everything.
They like disturbance, so that's the one benefit. But no, they're rhizomatous or spading, and so you'll see them in clumps like this, where the bulb is splitting. Carpenter Park, Illinois Nature Preserve. No digging of anything. Well, there's a lot more blooming today than I thought there would be driving here. So we got a few May apples, and they're a large tuber, and only the ones that have two leaves will bloom. And it takes them a long time to get a big enough tube to flower. Everyone always says that insects will take over the world when humans die off, but they already have taken over the world. 3/4 of all weight of all living things are in insects. This is one of the many species of ants in the woods. Most different species of trees have different types of ants associated with them. And it's just amazing the diversity ants have. They have very social societies where they have wars and trap other species of ants and keep them as slaves. Ohio Buckeye. We've missed its bloom. One of the palmated leaves. 5 blades all going to one center point. One of the early ferns in the woods is fragile fern. Whitlows Grass. It's one of the smallest flowers, and they're one of the early bloomers, known to start blooming in February. These are bee colonies, and this is one of the species of native mason bees. They're ground burrowers, and so they have small numbers. A week ago they were buzzing, and I believe they're dispersing after probably some queens mating. There are 400 species of mason bees in Illinois. This has got to be one of the biggest honey locust trees I know of, but got burrows growing all over it. 20 years ago when I came to Carpenter Park and started doing research, the youngest oak I found was like one of these, about 4 inches in diameter, was 100 years old. In that time, we haven't seen any new recruitment of oaks in the whole forest. Since that 20 years, there's some areas where we talked about in the last video where we had mechanically thinned some of the other trees out and opened up the woods, and we showed a small oak there. That's the youngest oak in the woods where we've done management. And so it's amazing to be in a place like Carpenter Park, but without continued management, the great oaks that we come here for today will soon be gone if we're not intervening now to continue to get more classes of younger oaks growing. Well, this is a unique Trillium having 4 blades. We normally see them with 3. But again, about 6 or 7 years from seedling to flower for it to bloom. The deer love eating them, so I'm surprised this one still exists. But it must be like a 4-leaf Trillium, even luckier than a 4-leaf clover. Tiger swallowtail. Butterfly wrangler credit.
Hey, there's a 3-leaf trout lily right here too.
Where? I've never seen that either.
Yeah. So neat.
This is the mutant woods of the future. Trout lily with 3 blades, normally just 2. Good eyes, Crystal. Gooseberry, a native shrub in Illinois. It's just starting to bloom. We'll have green berries that turn purple when ripe. Excellent for gooseberry pie. Join us this coming Saturday at Carpenter Park at 1 o'clock for another tour of Carpenter Park. What a difference a month makes. Part of the big read with the National Endowment for the Arts. Hopefully we see you Saturday. Become a member of the Friends of Sangamon Valley by going to our Facebook page or our website. On there is a button for PayPal where you can join and become a member. Becoming a member helps us have work days in more places, keeps the equipment and everything that we need to keep working with the volunteers that we have. If you can't come out for a work day, tell a friend about us and maybe they can join. Crystal will be leading the tour on Saturday. I'll see you then.